real-life critters that look photoshopped to photoshopped critters that look real. Here are 25 of the weirdest animal mashups. This is Mystery Mondays. And before we start off, Peter Hayes writes, "Awesome video. Really appreciate everything you do. I think I watched every one of your videos continuously when I was stuck in the hospital for 47 days. Wish you continued success." Well, Peter, that is an amazing story, and we're certainly glad we were able to help you through your stay in hospital, and certainly hope everything's going much better for you now. And hey, thanks again for the subscriber support. Cheers. Number 25, sperm whale and giraffe. So here is something you do not see every day, even in a Photoshop lab. This bizarre creation from artist Sarah de Reimers is actually a sperm whale combined with a giraffe, and definitely would qualify as big game. Number 24, PUMAPARD. The hybrid result of a female leopard and a male puma really does exist, and two of the first such specimens were born in Chicago in the late 19th century. While they resemble both parents, the hybrids are usually smaller than either one. Number 23, pig and cat. Now, did you think this picture really showed a pig? Kinda looks that way, doesn't it? But you're only half right. This is a creation of Sarah de Reimers and shows the result of a pig crossed with a cat. And judging from the furless body, we're guessing it's a Sphinx cat. What do you think? Number 22, CHEVROTAIN. Now this looks like the head of a mouse was transplanted onto the body of a deer, but the appearance occurs naturally. The CHEVROTAIN is understandably referred to as the mouse deer and are found mostly in Southeast Asia and Africa. The Asian species comprises the smallest hooved mammals in the world, weighing less than 18 pounds. Number 21, white tiger and monkey. Here's another creation from Sarah de Reimers that shows us what a white tiger and a monkey might look like if the two species are ever crossbred. Now, we're not sure about what type of monkey was used for the body, but it could have been a gray langur, a species that is found across the Himalayas. Armadillo girdled lizard. You ever wonder what a cross between an armadillo and a lizard with a girdle would look like? Well, here you go. But it's not a digital creation, and it doesn't actually wear a girdle. The animals are found in South Africa and have a defense mechanism similar to armadillos. When confronted, they'll curl up into a ball, and the scales and spines along its back and tail serve to ward off predators. Beaver and cat. Cats are usually considered cute, and likewise beavers. But when artist Sarah de Reimers combined the two critters, the result was a realistic hybrid that could have popped out of a horror movie. Now, what would you call this scary-looking animal? Now, we found some amazing work by a Reddit user who goes by the name gyyp, and I'm assuming that's the way you pronounce it. It's actually spelled G-Y-Y-P. Now, we couldn't find any other name associated with this artist, but whoever it is certainly specializes in creating hybrid animals with Photoshop, so we're throwing out some of the work there. Now, gyyp's mashup of an elephant and a manatee might look bizarre, but it's actually fairly close to the truth. Elephants and manatees are in fact related. They shared a common ancestor that died out around 50 million years ago. Maybe it's not that surprising, given that both creatures are big and grey, but their respective weights make all the difference. Manatees weigh close to 700 pounds, while African elephants can approach 14,000 pounds. Now, is this critter classified as a MANAPHANT? SAIGA antelope. Now, as we told you, some of these animal mashups were produced with Photoshop, while others were produced by nature, and such is the case with this critter, which could be a cross between a goat and an elephant. Just take a look at that schnoz. The SAIGA antelope is found in a limited area of Russia and in regions of Kazakhstan. Its nose helps filter out dust and regulate body temperature. While the animals do exist, they are considered critically endangered. This is gyyp's mashup of an orca killer whale and a penguin, but you probably would not want this hybrid to snatch a fish out of your hand, as it would likely snack on your hand, your arm, and maybe your whole body as well. velvet ants. At first look, this insect appears to be the hybrid offspring of an ant and a bee, but this picture by David Brownell actually depicts a critter called a velvet ant, although it's actually a wasp that resembles an ant. Unlike those insects though, these wasps are known to carry a sting so painful they're sometimes called cow killers. Chimp and horse. Now this creature that's loping through the jungle is supposed to represent the combination of a chimpanzee and a horse, but at first glance, the mammalian mashup by gyyp could almost be mistaken for a baboon, which of course are very much real. OKAPI. Now is this real or photoshopped? I ask because this critter often fakes out a lot of people. The OKAPI is very real though, and appears to be a mashup of a giraffe and a zebra. But aside from those distinctively zebra-like stripes, OKAPIs are more closely related to giraffes, the native to forests of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, we couldn't find a credit for this shark and seagull combination, but it would definitely make flying the friendly skies a lot more hostile. Piglet Squid. This real-life creature almost seems to be smiling at you, but that's the illusion created by its tentacles and skin patterns. And this apparent mashup of a pig and squid actually gets its name from its shape. It's about the size of an orange. Sharkompotamus. Now this is one of gyyp's more frightening images. The huge mouth of the basking shark is actually an adaptation for filter feeding. It can filter around 2,000 tons of water per hour as it feeds on small fish and zooplankton. As for the hippo, did you know they're considered one of the most dangerous large animals found in Africa? Pangolin and crab. Now pangolins are pretty strange creatures to begin with. They'll curl up into a ball to protect themselves, not unlike armadillos. They have long tongues like anteaters and can release a noxious stench not unlike the spray of a skunk. And they're also the only mammals that have large keratin scales covering the body. Given all that, maybe it makes a twisted kind of sense to combine them with the legs of a crab. Moose and squirrel. Now this is a pretty imaginative mashup of a moose and a squirrel, which makes one wonder if the person who created it is not a big fan of that old Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoon. What would you call this creation? Pug, dog, and gorilla. Now the pug's head and the gorilla's body actually do seem to match up pretty well. Maybe you'd have to call it a pugilla, but would it eat bananas or alpau? Jerboa. Even though it looks as if its legs come from a kangaroo and its ears belong to a rabbit, this critter really does exist. And not surprisingly, the rodent has excellent hearing, which can detect predators at night. They can be found hopping about deserts from North Africa to China. Now this mashup of a hyena and hamster isn't so much a laughing matter as it is a scary one. The creation of Sarah Dorema looks unsettlingly real, doesn't it? Almost as if it's screaming at you. Fox and Megabat. Well, here's a critter that could have been produced with Photoshop if nature hadn't gotten there first. Megabats are also known as fruit bats, but are more commonly called flying foxes, which are the largest bats in the world with a wingspan of nearly 5 feet. And they do have a face that resembles a fox, but the rest of them is all bat, even though most of these creatures do not use echolocation to navigate the way about. Scorpions and flies. Now, whenever there's a list of animals that appear photoshopped, this critter often pops up as an example of an insect crossed with an arachnid. You can get a good look at it in the photo by Wim van Egmond. But despite its name, the scorpion fly is 100% insect. As you can see, the critter has an appendage that curls over its back like a scorpion's sting, but that appendage is only possessed by the males and are actually the creature's gonads. crocodile snapping turtle. Now maybe you've heard of the alligator snapping turtle. Well, now you can meet its cousin, the crocodile snapping turtle. But this is actually the creation of an Australian artist named Nicholas McDonald, who made a digital mashup of the snapping turtle's body with the head of a croc. And it looks pretty convincing, right? The alligator snapping turtle actually looks pretty bizarre as it is. They can weigh up to 180 pounds and have a ridge of large scales on the shell that resembles certain plated dinosaurs. The reptiles get the alligator appellation due to the powerful jaws and the skin, which is rough and ridged, not unlike an alligator. And that's no croc. The platypus. Yes, this is likely a familiar face, you can hardly forget it. But how could we not place this critter at number 1? It's likely considered the poster creature for animal mashups. The platypus is unique in so many ways, from its famous duck bill to its beaver-like tail and otter-like feet. And it's one of 5 existing species of mammals that lay eggs and is also among the few venomous mammals in the world. How about all that? The strange critter is an official state symbol of New South Wales and is native to Australia. This is Mystery Mondays.